Emily was the kind of girl most people forgot was even in the room. She kept her head down, avoided eye contact, and spent her lunch breaks tucked away in the library with her sketchbook. That's why she didn't see it coming when 3 of the most popular girls in school cornered her by the lockers one afternoon. Phones were out, camera lights flashing. "Hey, Emily, smile for your big debut." One of them mocked as the others shoved her bag to the floor, spilling her books and scattering her carefully drawn sketches into the mud from someone's wet shoes. The girls laughed, narrating the whole thing like it was some comedy skit for their followers. "Say hi to the livestream, loser." Another sneered, tilting her phone close to Emily's face as she tried to hide her tears. Hundreds of laughing emojis flooded the chat as their audience egged them on. They made her pick up her soaked drawings while making fake crying noises, every second captured for their growing viewership. Emily stayed silent, but her trembling hands weren't from fear, they were from holding back something they couldn't see. She noticed something the bullies hadn't. The livestream was public, and the comments were leaving a digital trail. One that couldn't be deleted so easily. She didn't react then, she didn't yell, she didn't run, she simply walked away, head down, already planning her quiet, precise readily audio. That night, Emily sat at her desk with her laptop open and headphones on. She replayed the livestream, every cruel laugh and shove burning into her memory. But she wasn't watching to feel bad, she was watching to collect evidence. She took screenshots of each bully's face, every humiliating comment from the livestream chat, and even captured the timestamps of their taunts. She knew the school's anti-bullying policy inside and out. More importantly, she knew exactly who had the power to enforce it, the school board. The next morning, while the bullies strutted down the hallway bragging about their hilarious video, Emily quietly sent an email. The subject line was simple: urgent, bullying evidence. Attached was the entire video file she had downloaded, along with a neatly organized PDF of screenshots and links to the public stream archive. She CC'd the principal, vice principal, and the district superintendent. By the end of the day, the atmosphere at school shifted. The 3 girls were pulled from class one by one, their phones confiscated. Rumors spread like wildfire. The livestream had reached the school board, and parents had been called in for emergency meetings. Some even said local media had been contacted because of how public the harassment was. By Friday, the bullies were suspended indefinitely, their social media accounts locked, and their parents facing legal discussions about harassment laws. Teachers started speaking openly in class about digital responsibility, using Emily's case as a real-world example. Emily didn't gloat, she didn't smirk, she just walked into the library as usual, sketchbook in hand, and opened it to a fresh page. But this time, when a few students nodded at her respectfully, she didn't look away. She had learned something powerful. You don't have to shout to make yourself heard, you just have to make your move at the right moment. And this time, everyone was watching her. Emily sat cross-legged at her desk that night, the pale glow of her laptop casting long shadows across her small bedroom. Outside, the wind rattled the branches of the oak tree that brushed against her window, but inside, she felt nothing but calm, methodical focus. The bullies probably thought she'd gone home and cried into her pillow. Maybe they expected her to block them online, or avoid coming to school for a few days out of shame. They had no idea that beneath her shy, quiet demeanor, Emily had the patience and precision of someone who spent hours perfecting fine details in her art, and that same focus was now aimed at them. She replayed the livestream over and over, her fingers moving like a surgeon's, isolating each important moment. She paused at the frame where Jenna, queen bee of their clique, shoved her books to the ground, her manicured nails flashing under the hallway lights. Screenshot. Click. She zoomed in, making sure Jenna's smug grin was crystal clear. Then she moved to Chloe, the one holding the phone. She captured the way Chloe's eyes sparkled with mean-spirited glee as she narrated, "Here's Emily, our school's resident ghost, let's see if she actually exists outside the library." The chat window beside her face showed comments like, "Lol, she looks like she hasn't showered in a week," and, "Push her harder." Screenshot. Click. The cruelest was Kayla, the tall one who had bent down, picked up one of Emily's carefully shaded sketches, a drawing she'd worked on for hours, and pretended to blow her nose on it. Emily froze the video at that exact moment, catching the paper just before it crumpled in Kayla's hand. Screenshot. Click. Her breathing stayed steady. She wasn't doing this for revenge out of pure anger, she was doing it because they needed to be stopped. And the more she compiled, the more she realized she had an airtight case. The bullies had live-streamed the whole thing publicly. There was no misunderstanding to hide behind, no, he said she said. Their own vanity had turned them into their own prosecutors. Emily opened a fresh document and began typing a clear, unemotional report. Incident summary. On date during the school lunch period, 3 students, identified as Jenna, last name Chloe, last name, and Kayla, last name, engaged in targeted harassment of myself, Emily, last name, in the school hallway. This harassment was physically and verbally abusive and was broadcast via a public livestream accessible to anyone with an internet connection. She listed each timestamp from the video, pairing it with screenshots. Every shove, every insult, every laugh. She even noted the usernames from the livestream comments that belonged to other students, proof that dozens had watched in real time and egged them on. Then she did something the bullies would never have expected from shy Emily. She didn't just send it to the principal, she sent it directly to the school board's official email, copying the principal, vice principal, and district superintendent. She even CC'd the district's legal counsel, whose address she found on the public school website. Her email subject line was short and impossible to ignore: urgent evidence of policy violation, bullying and harassment. Satisfied, she clicked send. The email whooshed away into cyberspace, and Emily sat back in her chair. Her work was done. Now, it was just a matter of time. The next morning, the atmosphere at school felt different. Emily noticed it the moment she stepped through the front doors. The usual morning chatter was quieter, and whispers seemed to follow her down the hall. She kept her pace steady, eyes forward, though inside she was keenly observing every detail. By second period, she saw the first sign: Chloe being escorted out of class by Mr. Hargrove, the vice principal, looking pale and clutching her phone like a lifeline. By lunch, Kayla was called out too, this time by the principal herself. And just before the end of the day, Jenna, always untouchable Jenna, was summoned over the loudspeaker. Her confident strut was gone, replaced by a stiff, tight-lipped march to the office. Rumors spread faster than wildfire. Emily overheard snatches of conversation in the hallway. They said the school board saw the whole video. My mom said there's gonna be a meeting with lawyers. I heard they might get expelled. Like, not just suspended, expelled. Emily stayed silent, tucking her hair behind her ear and moving on. She had no intention of confirming or denying anything. Let the mystery make them wonder. 2 days later, an emergency school assembly was called. Every student filed into the gym, where the principal stood with the district superintendent at her side. This past week, the principal began, an incident occurred that has deeply disturbed us all. It involved 3 of our students engaging in harassment and humiliation of another student, which was broadcast publicly online. This is unacceptable, and it violates both school policy and state law. The murmurs in the crowd grew louder. As of today, she continued, the students responsible have been suspended pending expulsion hearings with the school board. Additionally, law enforcement has been contacted to review the evidence for potential charges related to harassment and cyberbullying. Emily sat in the back row, hands folded neatly in her lap. She could feel dozens of eyes turning toward her, but she didn't move. The bullies weren't here, they wouldn't be back. The principal then spoke about digital responsibility, how online behavior leaves a permanent footprint, and how laughing along makes you complicit. She encouraged anyone experiencing bullying to come forward without fear. Emily almost smiled. Almost. In the weeks that followed, the fallout continued. The bullies' social media accounts vanished overnight, either deleted or locked down to avoid more embarrassment. Word got around that their parents had been livid, especially when they learned the school board had the full video in its possession and that it had been forwarded to the police. Emily's own life shifted in subtle but powerful ways. Teachers who once barely noticed her began greeting her warmly. A few classmates, people who had been silent bystanders before, approached her in the hallway to apologize for not speaking up. The library, once her hideout, became a place where people occasionally sat near her instead of across the room. Some even asked about her drawings. And though Emily still preferred her quiet corner, she no longer felt like she was hiding. One afternoon, while packing up her sketchbook, she overheard a freshman telling a friend, "She's the girl who took down Jenna and her crew. You don't mess with her." Emily didn't correct them. She wasn't some avenging hero. She was just a girl who'd decided enough was enough, and who understood that the quietest voices can still be the sharpest when they choose their moment. The real irony, A few weeks later, Emily discovered that a clip from the Bullies livestream, the part where they tried to humiliate her, had been reposted on a student-run Instagram page about school drama. But now, the comments were different. Instead of laughing emojis, there were words like disgusting behavior and glad they got what they deserved. One even read, props to Emily for handling it like a boss. She scrolled through for a moment, then closed the app and opened her drawing pad instead. Her new sketch wasn't of the hallway or the bullies, it was of a hawk in mid-flight, eyes locked on something below, talons outstretched. Because Emily knew something important now, when you move with precision, you don't have to be loud to be powerful. You just have to make your strike count. And this time, she had hit her mark perfectly. If you want, I can also make a sharper, more intense final scene where the bullies face the expulsion hearing and Emily quietly witnesses it from the hallway for added drama. That would push it into a cinematic ending while keeping the length. Would you like me to add that?